Hello and welcome to Ramble Electric, and in this week's video I'm going to be talking obviously about EVs. I'll be talking about trains, funnily enough, and also we'll be talking a bit about maps. So a bit of a mixed bag this week. Buckle in, here we go. So I'm driving on the A3 at the moment in London. Some part of London, Putney I think, and I've just been to a business meeting, and this is actually my second long journey of the week. And in the past, when I've gone on reasonably long journeys, well, long journeys for me, I have introduced a bit of jeopardy. Thank you. I've introduced a bit of jeopardy into the videos by saying, oh, I wonder if I'm going to need to rapid charge today because I'm going for a journey that's longer than one that I would normally venture out on. But, you know, the range of this vehicle is pretty decent, and so far in the 19 and a half months that I've owned it, I have yet to go on a journey where I've needed to rapid charge. The eagle-eyed amongst you will know that I did make a rapid charge video at one point. However, that was only just to make a video, frankly. I didn't actually need to rapid charge. I just, so I haven't had to rapid charge. Did you see a video I did recently where I went up to Windsor? That was for a meeting as well. Well, I thought it was going to be touch and go. It wasn't, was it? I think I got back with about 16% battery. But there we go. I've got to keep an eye on the maps here and make sure that I don't take a wrong turning. I think I've just got to stick on the A3. That's what I've got to do. It can't be that hard. The range on this car is, now this is a Nissan Ariya, in case you're new here, and there are two battery sizes that you can get for this particular vehicle, and I have the smaller one, which is a 66 kilowatt hour battery. It's 63 kilowatt hours usable, and the range is difficult. The official WLTP range of this car is 250 miles. The real world range on various websites, take a Electroverse for example, the real world range that the Electroverse, which is a charging card thing that Octopus do, they say the real world range of this car with this battery size is 208 miles. And I would say that both of those figures are actually wrong. The WLTP is always wrong, but normally it's because it's high. It's quoted as being far too high. But I have found that the range that my car thinks that it's got on a full battery is sometimes it says like 280 miles. I think realistically it probably is there or thereabouts 250, 260 in the summer, maybe 230, 240 in the winter. So it's pretty good. Maybe I've just been lucky. I don't know. But I will say one thing about batteries, because I'm a bit confused about batteries. Now, the lithium-ion battery that is in most EVs is one that you will generally well advised to keep to under 80% most of the time. You don't have to do it all the time, but that's the general recommendation. And when I bought this car, there was nothing in the documentation about keeping the battery level to 80%. Nothing. But I thought, well, it's a lithium-ion battery, that must surely be the recommendation. So I contacted Nissan and they said, yes, we recommend that you keep it to 80%. Most of the time. And I thought, well, it'd be good then if you put that in the paperwork, wouldn't it really? But they didn't. So, but somebody said to me on social media, they said, well, actually, it's got a larger battery, it's got like a buffer, it's 66 kilowatts, you've 63 usable, so you can't charge it to 100% anyway, so it doesn't matter if you do. And I thought, that's a really good point. Maybe that's why Nissan don't say anything about it. And also, some cars will have a setting that means that the car won't go above 80% if you turn that setting on. It's a very handy setting. This car hasn't got that. So I thought maybe that's the reason why. So I contacted Nissan again and I said, why can't you set the charge limit to 80% like you can in lots of other EVs? And they came back and said, oh, well, the battery management system is so good and the battery cells are so well managed that we don't worry about that. So I replied again and said, well, in that case, do I actually need to worry about keeping it below 80%? And bizarrely, they replied and said, yes, we recommend a lithium-ion battery should not be charged above 80% most of the time. So read into that what you will. They're saying on the one hand, don't worry about it, the BMS is brilliant, but on the other hand, yeah, you really should worry about it and keep it below 80%. So I don't know, frankly. I think the thing is that there's plenty of evidence out there that the batteries are pretty good, and you sort of, I think it's an intelligent thing to do is not to charge it up to 100% every time. But I don't think you really need to get too anal about these things. I think you can, like take for example this week. So this week's quite unusual for me. I tend to potter about doing, 40 miles here and there, 20 miles there. I don't do a massive amount of mileage, but occasionally I do need to. It's why I own a car. So 2 days ago, today's Tuesday, so on Sunday, I went off out to a birthday celebration. A birthday of somebody I've never met. And I took them a present and a card, so I hope they liked it, because I didn't know who they were. So so I was guessing, and it was it was a birthday celebration, and that was a 196 mile round trip, and so I charged the car up to 100%, and then I suddenly realised, because it was a hot day and it was in somebody's garden, and I thought, well, I could wear shorts. And then I realised when I put my shorts on that I didn't really have any shoes that would go with the outfit that I was wearing that didn't look a bit kind of, manky. So I had to nip off down to the shops and buy myself a pair of shoes that would fit with my that would go with my shorts. So by the time I left home to go to this party, I had 97% battery. But when I got home after the 196 mile round trip, I still had 14% battery. And this is bearing in mind that most of that journey was on the motorway, M27, M3, M25. So so that's roads that you don't tend to get particularly good economy on. Even if you drive a gas car, you're gonna use up quite a lot of petrol. And an electric car, you're not going to get the best range. I think it worked out on average. I reset it, and I think it was 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour I think I had on that journey, which I was pretty pleased about considering how much of it was on the motorway. So anyway, so that was Sunday. It's now Tuesday, and I've had to do another long journey. This is again going to be about 200 miles. I've had to drive from my home in Dorset up to London for a meeting, and again I'm going to get home with plenty of battery. I mean, I've driven up. I'm already 8.5 miles on my journey home. I have 93 miles to go. It's just counted down, and I've still got 60% battery. So, and it says I've got 162 miles, and so I got 93. So I mean, I should have like 70 odd miles or close to left of charge by the time I get home. People who have ICE cars will be thinking, 250 miles, that's not very far. I can go 1 billion miles in my car and it's absolutely fine. I don't have to stop. But the thing is that I can go from my house in Dorset up to London. Is it ever such a long way? And I can go there and back, and I don't have to stop for a charge. I have to be honest, in some ways I'm quite disappointed that I'm going on, this is probably about the 4th or 5th journey I've gone on of some decent distance where I've actually found, no, I'm not going to have to charge up. I'm not going to have to stop for a rapid charge. And I'm looking forward to the day that I have to do that. Weirdly, I know. So, the thing is though, and this has led me to a bit of a dilemma, one of the things I wanted to talk about in this video. When I have gone up to London to see this particular client before, because I've known them for quite a long time now, and I've gone up on the train because there is a train route from Dorset to London. It's quite a good one, goes from Southampton, Basingstoke on up, that way. So it's fairly direct. When I went to the party, I'll just say this, 2 days ago, there was no alternative route, there was no train route. Dr. Beeching had seen to that. There was no way I could take the train to that. So that was car, no choice. But today, why haven't I taken the train? Because I would always have done that in the past. And it probably won't surprise you to learn that the journey in the car is considerably cheaper than going up on the train, which is slightly ridiculous, in all honesty, a bit bonkers, but that's just the way it is. So the ticket on the train would be just over £77 return to travel up on the train. And you can go on websites that will work out which, the best route. And that was doing that. So I was traveling up, super off peak. It was actually splitting a ticket into two, because it does all this automatically for you to work out the cheapest rate. But I would have had to gone back home at peak rate, because it's now I left there about 5:15, and that is well into the peak. So I would have had to take a peak ticket home. So that was going to be more expensive. But even if I'd been even if I thought, well, I'll wait until 7 o'clock and then get the train home, it would have been still £60. I think it was £59 and some pence to do that. Still considerably more than it would cost me in my EV. So in my EV, the cost of the electricity to drive up, if I was on a really cheap tariff, like one of these things that is 7 pence or whatever, then it would have cost me less than a fiver, which is ridiculous. I'm not on one of those tariffs. I'm on a tracker tariff, reasons for which are beyond the scope of this video, but trust me, that's the best tariff for me, I believe, at the moment, although I am looking at that at the moment. And so it still cost me probably about £7.50 is what it's going to cost me to travel up today. Now, of course, I had to park the car, and I found a space on Just Park for that, and that was £17. So in total, it's going to have cost me about £24 to travel up, compared to 77 on the train. Actually, when I was just chatting to my customer before I left, it turns out that in their office, round the back of their office, they've got car parking spaces, and if they'd known I was going to drive, I could have parked in one of those spaces. So I'll know that next time. So next time I drive up, I could go up and there and back for a meeting from my house in Dorset all the way up to London and all the way home again, if I'm on one of those cheap tariffs, for about £4. And when the trains are going to cost me minimum £59. And also, very rarely when I go to travel home, well, if I've gone to see this customer in the past, very rarely do I get a seat. Whereas in this car, I am guaranteed a seat. In fact, even my rucksack has got a seat of its own. So let's talk about the maps then. Should we talk about maps? This car's got something which is quite good. Other EVs do this as well. And you can put the destination you want to go to in the app when you're sat in the comfort of your own home, and then you can send it to the car. And then when you get in the car, it will come up on the screen and say, oh, do you want to travel to this destination? And you can say yes, and then it will plot the route on the maps, which is very good. There are, however, a couple of downsides to it. The first one is that the maps, the voice of the person who is saying, turn left, take this junction, is like the sat navs that you used to buy 10 years ago. It's not very good. We're used to listening to Alexa and Google Assistant and Siri that have quite human sounding voices, and that's only going to improve in this realm of AI that we're heading into. But this sounded this sort of robotic kind of voice, which isn't very good. The other thing that annoys me about it is the way it talks about roads and the numbers it gives them. When I was travelling up to this party on Sunday, I went on the A338 briefly, and it calls that road the A338. I went on the B3073 and it called it the B3073. Literally nobody in the UK would refer to roads like that. No one would do it. The other thing as well that the maps will do, now this is a brilliant thing, sadly let down by the implementation, and that is this: when you send the route to the car, it of course knows how much battery you've got, so cleverly it can work out what your battery percentage will be when you get to your destination, and even better, it can work out where you should go to charge up while you're on your journey. Now that would be brilliant if it wasn't for the fact that it gets the battery percentages completely wrong. I mean, utterly wrong. I mean, to a factor of like double figures wrong. So, for example, the other day I went out and I was popping from my home to Jewson's to pick up some sand. Now, from home, it said that the amount of battery that I would need to get to that destination, to get to Jewson's, was 19% battery. Guess how far away Jewson's is from my house? 14.6 miles. So guess how much battery it did actually use when I got there? Yeah, less than 4%. So you might say, well, it doesn't matter because it's still working out the route for you and, you know, fine. But it is a problem because you could go on a journey, like a long journey today. There's no way that it would say I have enough battery. It would be telling me to stop for a charge when I don't need to. So whoever writes the software for Nissan for their battery thing, route planning, needs to seriously think about rewriting it.
If you're enjoying this content, make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell and you'll know when the next video goes live. And if you're in the UK and you want to get £50 off your energy bill, you can sign up for Octopus Energy using the referral link on screen now. I'll get £50 too.
There's some roadworks here. Am I? Oh yeah, I am going the right way. See, coming home at this time of day, I do worry a bit that I'm suddenly going to end up sitting in a load of traffic. What's going on here? Of course, this is a big old set of roadworks, isn't it? Oh, bugger. I've just realised that I'm going to have to go all the way around the roundabout. Why is it doing that? Oh, no. I'm going to have to put my ticker on now. I don't believe this. Because that's M25 East. I don't want M25 East. Why do they paint arrows on the road when you're already on it? This is monumentally going to annoy the people behind me. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Range Rover. I hate your car, but thanks for letting me in. Thank you. Yeah, I've got to go all the way around the roundabout here. This is weird. One good thing about travelling to anywhere in an EV is that you do feel fresher, I think, when you get to your destination than in an ICE car. I don't know whether it's because I always drove manuals in the past, or what you call in the States a stick shift. I always drove manual cars. I was never a fan of automatics. But maybe if I drove a gas car and it had been an automatic, then I would have felt okay, because I'm comparing driving this as an automatic compared to driving a car with a manual gearbox. I mean, if you're in traffic like this and you just stop, you know, clutch, it's quite, you know, that can be quite tiring. So I'm not saying that EVs are, you know, the nirvana of everything, and that where have I got to go now? And that the oh dear. See, I'm a bloke. I shouldn't be trying to multitask. Oh no, I think I've got this right. Yeah, that'll do. I think that's right. Yeah, but you know, maybe it would have been okay in an automatic. But you know, the other thing about an automatic gas car is you've got a bit of that kind of changing gear thing going on, haven't you? I don't know. I just never liked them. But this is just so much nicer. So I did feel fine after my 200-mile journey. I was a bit worried because I was going to a business meeting today, and it was a meeting that I really wanted to engage with, and it was going to be quite a long meeting as well. I mean, it's 2.25 hours in the end, this meeting, and you know, and I wanted to be able to. I wanted it to be a good meeting, basically, and I was a bit worried, having travelled 200 miles the day before yesterday. I was thinking to myself, well, you know, am I going to go into that meeting and just say, do you mind if I pull up a chair and just have a snooze in the corner and wake me up if anything really important happens? But actually, I felt fine, even though I've done that 200 miles and another 100 miles to get here, I was fine. And now I'm going to do another 100 miles to get home, and I feel absolutely fine. So that's good, isn't it? Wow, there's a load of roadworks. Look at all of this. Wow, what's going on here? Look at it all. This is what you call roadworks. My goodness. Look at this.
Speed camera ahead.
Speed camera? Forget the speed camera. Look at all the trucks and things. wow, look at all this. Sorry, I'm from the country, I get excited about stuff like this. I was a bit worried about going to a meeting because it wasn't right in central London, it was just a little bit outside, it was in Clapham. But that's far enough in to think, I wonder what it's going to be like sort of crawling through London. But it was fine actually. It's been a long time since I've actually gone that far into London in a car. That's why I've always kind of taken the train in the past. But you know, it was fine, and it was fine getting out of town as well. I thought leaving there at 5:15, it was going to be. I thought I'm just going to crawl out of London, but I didn't. I'm already on the. Am I still on the A3? I don't know where I am. Hang on, was this M25? Hang on, I'm going to tell you where I am now. Oh yeah, I'm on M25 now. So I'm on the M25, and I shouldn't speak too soon, should I? That was silly. Talk about tempting fate. My goodness, I'm in big trouble now.
Speed camera ahead.
Okay, thank you. There's a bit of a dilemma here, isn't there? Because we should all be using public transport, really, to go places where possible. Because you've got to think. I mean, the trains are electric on that branch line. They're all electric, so you've got to think. Well, that is environmental-wise a good choice. You can always ask the question, where does electricity come from? But it's still, you know, the better option.
Speed camera ahead.
Generally. And obviously having more cars on the road is never a good thing, is it? So, but when it's that much cheaper to drive in an EV, then you're just going to do that, aren't you? And that, of course, throws up the question of what's going to happen down the line when we're all driving EVs and the government want to bring in revenue, and there's all this talk about pay per mile driving instead of road tax coming in. My argument on all of that would have been that, the government is seriously subsidising the fossil fuel industry to the tune of hundreds of millions of pounds every year. If they're not having to do that anymore because we're all driving around in EVs and we're all heating our homes with electric heating and air source heat pumps and things, then they don't have to spend that hundreds of millions of pounds, and therefore they don't have to charge us for very much for driving on the road, just a little bit to fill in all the potholes which they don't fill in. That's all. They don't do that anyway, do they? But I think it's an interesting question, that, but I think is also slightly an excuse. But they'd have to charge an awful lot per mile for it to be cheaper for me to go on the train. It's a shame because I actually really like travelling on trains. Oh well. Yeah, I definitely spoke too soon. I'm sat in traffic now. That's my own fault, isn't it? It's because I said that. This thing on here. Now, I was talking about maps, and generally, because I don't want to use the built-in maps because because it sounds like it's been voiced by Metal Mickey. I would always choose Google Maps in the past. You know, Google, if anybody knows how to do maps, it's Google, isn't it? They know how to do it. And when Apple Maps came out, I kind of looked at it and I tried to use it a bit, and it was a bit rubbish. They had all sorts of landmarks around me, not even landmarks, just sort of, churches and things, in the wrong places. It was just awful, really. But gradually over the last few years, I have started to use it a little bit more. But generally on a trip like this, I would have used Google Maps. But when I went up to this party a couple of days ago, I used Apple Maps, and it was almost by accident, really, because I had the appointment and I had the sort of event and the address in my calendar. And because I'm in the Apple ecosystem, I just kind of tapped it, and then of course it says, it knew when I got in the car, actually, do you want to travel here? So I just went, oh yes. And then actually the maps were pretty good. I thought, oh. And when I got into the car to come back, I noticed there was a little arrowy thing at the bottom of the maps. So I pressed that, and then it has on there sharing. You can share the map. So I thought, so I decided to push the button and share the map with my wife, and it turned out she could then track where I was, which is handy because she was going to do me a bit of dinner because I was going to be getting home late, which was really nice of her. Saved me any kind of hassle on that front. So that's nice of her. So I've done the same thing today. So I've got in the car, I've tapped home, I've shared the map with her, and I don't need to worry about her wondering where I am or what time I'm going to get home, because it shares the ETA with her. And she said that she could see when it changed, because originally it said I was going to get home at 8:30 on Sunday, and then it changed on 8 o'clock, I think, and then it changed because there was a bit of traffic on the M25 like there is today, and there was a bit of traffic in the New Forest, and it kept updating her on what my ETA was, and she could see where I was on the map. So yeah, it's ecosystems, isn't it? So if you've got an Android phone, it would make sense for you to still use Google Maps, and I imagine you can do the sharing thing on that as well, I suppose. I have no idea, I haven't got an Android phone. But I think, yeah, that's quite good. So I've been quite impressed. I like the graphics on it as well, and being a bit of a, you know, that being kind of my, the thing that I'm in, you know, in the industry that I'm in, I like good looking, you know, interfaces and things. I know it's sad, isn't it? I'm going to have to change lanes here. I'm going to end up going to Woking. Hang on. Anyway, this has been actually quite a rabbity video, quite a rambly video, but then this is the Rambly channel, so what do you expect? You might have thoughts on the whole train, car thing.
Speed camera ahead.
You might have comments to make on any of those subjects that I have covered today. You may have questions to ask about the Nissan Ariya. I've been trying to make an update video on what I think about this car, and I'm just not happy with it, which is why it hasn't gone out. It was going to be an 18 month update, and I've owned the car now for 19 and a half months, and the video still hasn't come out. It's because I don't know, I filmed parts of it, and I'm just not happy with it. So yeah, that video may come out at some point. Make sure you subscribe to find out when that video, maybe it'll be a 2-year video, who knows, but subscribe anyway if you want to find out more about the Nissan Ariya. I've got other stuff coming up as well about other renewable bits and bobs, and you know, who knows what's going to turn up on this channel. I mean, you know, the algorithm hates me because I make all sorts of random stuff. So thank you for watching. Do post your comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, and you do me a wonderful favour if you subscribe to the channel. We're always very welcome to join in, and yeah, tell your friends about the channel if you've enjoyed this rambly video, and I will see you for another one really soon.